Hello and welcome to one more session. And this is something where we are going a little hard, bang on hard on a couple of topics. And today I have with me Muhammad Amin. And Muhammad Amin had been into the Uranium Season 3. And we're going to talk about something that we experienced right now. And we will ask Muhammad to give a kind of a small introduction of what has happened right now. And we will try to figure out what are the kind of possible solutions. This is no logic, absolutely straightforward, practical statement. There is no theories here. We are going to talk something which is absolutely we have just experienced, I think hardly 30 minutes back. And now we will be diving deep into understanding what are the areas by which we can solve a solution inside. If you are looking to talk to someone absolutely strange who have no idea about who you are and you are looking to gain something out of it, how does a closer team work? And I'm going to talk about this ninja techniques, how you can basically get inside, penetrate what kind of homework required, what kind of preparation is required before you go and even talk to someone. So this is probably, I think, a very basic level, which you're going to talk about it. So, Amin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Amit. Thank you.
Right. So, Amin, probably just let me know what exactly has happened, and you can probably give around a couple of minutes to tell the intro of how exactly the things are right now, what has happened, and why we are here.
Yeah, sure. So we had to speak to this person who was hosting an event for entrepreneurs who want to speak about the success stories and all that. And she was kind of totally unknown or stranger to me. So I had just the number of her with me. I just called up her directly and started speaking to her. So when I spoke to her, I didn't know if I went right or wrong. So I just told her that I'm calling to like kind of book a space for one of my persons who want to get a space to talk on the event. So she was thinking that I had called him. So this particular thing is some kind of what do you say, renting spaces. So basically they rent space for the people who want to work, like co-working spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her I think she was of that kind of she was coming from that direction. So she thought that I am calling her to book a co-working space. I was not even knowing that it is a co-working space. So anyhow, I went with the call, and then I felt that she was having some confusion. Then I clarified her. So I'm here not for the co-working space. I'm here because my mentor wants a space, wants the time slot to speak in your event. And then she was like, okay. She asked me, uh, give me more details about him. So what organizations he's having or whatever. So again, at the point of time, I was not having much information with respect to what I have to say. So I told her that fine, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just mail you or something. Just give me an email ID. So she dropped her email ID, but I think the call didn't went that well because I was not in the authoritative situation. So that is about it.
Cool. So let's understand what has happened if you have actually tried to reach someone and the call didn't go through. What kind of things has gone negative? So let's write down the negative things here. Okay, so you got some information from a kind of a write-up. The entire flow is that there was a kind of a write-up here which was shared, and this write-up had a call number, so you immediately took up the call. So the negative was there was no research.
Correct,
right?
correct.
There
correct.
was no planning. There was no strategy, right? And ultimately,
Yes.
there was no confidence.
Yes.
And when there is no confidence, ultimately, the presentation was sad. Okay. Now, if we need to completely turn around this entire thing, I think the reason you know it right now, you know your present situations. So if you are somebody who is starting a business, you're a freelancer or an entrepreneur, or you are doing anything, might be selling ₹1 product also. If you are talking to somebody and you are trying to pitch, and if you don't know someone on the other side, what you should do, the reasons are already there on your screen. So that's something which I say it's absolutely a blank page. We have no idea what this entire discussion is going through. Probably what we're going to find out is how exactly we can weigh inside, we can deep dive inside the situation and basically understand why we didn't get through. And if we need to really get through this, let us understand what are the areas by which you can gain an authority, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So gaining an authority is very simple, actually. For that authority, you need to understand two things. You have to understand what is the expectation. Now, this is a kind of a real-time practical session that you have done is you have called up this person. My question was, if you have directly called up this person, there has to be some sort of a research. Now you are actually bridging a facilitation. Now there is a business which is called as facilitation. So this is the facilitation which can be called as an agency model, brokerage model, or done with you model. There are commission models. This entire thing comes under the brokerage model. Okay. Now in this brokerage model, you have to understand two parts. One is somebody who is a supplier, and one is somebody who is a what?
Who is
demand generator.
okay?
Okay, in this case, supplier was on the client side. They supply a slot. So what I'm looking at is my demand is I need a slot. Very simple. Okay, and the supplier on the other side, they have a stage. Okay. Now there are expectations. You have to understand this. That I also have some expectations when I have asked you for this. A similar thing can happen when you're talking to over your client also. There are hidden expectations. Correct. These hidden expectations are something that you need to figure out how exactly this is going to benefit me. If I'm asking that I'm the other side, demand generation guy, and you have to also figure out how that expectations, they'll have the same kind of hidden expectations also. They might not talk about it, but this is our job probably to get the delays. We need to understand the positioning of both the sides, the pain point of both the sides, right?
Yes.
So I'll just probably, merge this entire thing as one part. Okay. Anyways, so understanding the pain point is the first thing is who is closer to you, the guy who is already in demand, why he has hired you, why he has asked for your help or your guidance or probably your network is he is much more closer to you. So your job first would have been that why not you understand what you are actually looking at. Now he says, okay, I want to be a part of this program and I want to talk. Why? Because there are people who are of that sort. Might be I'm looking at a network, might be I'm looking to stage myself, might be I'm looking to gain my credibility. There might be certain challenges in which I am not able to get through as a direct apprentice, or I'm looking at someone to help me to do the first level of door knocking. Okay, this is a new word for you, door knocking. So every entrepreneur or influencer or probably anyone who is into business, they need to understand what is door knocking. Now, door knocking are of various ways. Sometimes you need to personally go, that's called as direct selling. Sometimes you need to get through some sort of a reference. Sometimes you need to get through some sort of an advertisement. But the most primitive way of getting the door knocking is once you go personally and you talk to him, right? Now here, we have multiple stages. And the stage one, as I said, is you need to understand your own self-awareness also here. Your own self-awareness is now to understand the demand generator and also understand the supplier. So on the demand generator side, you need to understand that you are selling somebody's property to somebody else. If it does not need it, you will be thrown out, like what has just happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, what you need to do is you need to prepare. What is the preparation? The homework. Okay, in the homework, what you need to find out is how well you can position this interface of your demand generator to the client. It's just like your user interface, you have this demand interface. Okay, now, rather than creating, I want to participate, or rather I am looking at, or as a demand, the client is looking at to you, why not if it on the other side? This is always better to have the demand coming from their end. Yes, we'd like to invite someone. And that was the kind of a communication that has happened. So if viewers who are listening, there is already a record. Probably we can try to get that recording also before this positioning, if it is possible. Else, let me just tell you what has happened is the other side, there was a person who was actually trying to figure out who is looking for what and how the client would be benefited indirectly by having him. And directly she said, we are already full, we cannot have. Now, if this is something which is a lack of complete awareness here. So this is what I would like to talk about here is in the the demand interface. The first thing what you need to understand is internally the selling point. For example, if I am at the demand side now, it is me and I have asked you, mentee word is absolutely 0. If I am teaching you and if you are showing the same thing there, and if it is your response right now, it's absolutely a no-no. Even I will also not take in that way, right? Number 2, if you are introducing me, okay, then you need to understand who I am. That means you need to study about me, isn't it? You have to study about the client who is already working with you. You need to understand what are the good and the bad things. What are the things you should talk and what are the things you should not talk, right? So when you say who I am, in the study part, you need to figure out on the entire hierarchy of exactly. So these are the 3 things happens. You need a past, you need a present, and you need a future, right? This is the entire structure of how you can get into somebody's details. And you have got basically 3 or 4 things. Now you have to understand the criteria here. So in the other side, let's look on the other side, supplier side, they are completely into startups. Okay. Okay. They have a co-working space. Okay. This data I would have already got even before I am speaking to this lady by their email ID or their probably the website or probably searching the name on social media. I would have already got, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we have not taken time to spend that much time to understand what it is for. Right. Now, as a startup, accumulators or a co-working space, they are also looking at freelancers. They are also looking at, now I'm going deeper into understanding their pain points, right? So you have to understand the pain point from both the sides. The pain points might be they want somebody to get more people to look at them, more people to book the seats for them, more people to get into that kind of a part-time based job or some sort of get entrepreneurship kind of a program. They need to promote that. That's the way of their business. And that is the pain point. Everyone is looking at branding themselves. And no one wants to get associated with somebody who is absolutely new, right? They need a credibility. So it's a win-win for them to have somebody there. Now, the stories what these guys are going to be talking there are entrepreneurs who have got to some level. Cool. Now, if I need to position myself there, what we should have done is we should have studied ourselves. The kind of brands. Now, these are certain keywords which rhymes to people. Brands, certain testimonials. Okay. And what happens is we never go with write-ups. We never go with presentations because these are time killers and that will be lying in their inbox because they don't have time. So the time that you have got is only 5 minutes max, where in this first 30 seconds, you need to understand a rapport. You need to understand what they want. You need to understand how much you can get inside. But the questions was coming from the other side, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to position that, why not to start the communication like that? Okay, I am new here. I'm looking at it and I understood this. I have read the mail. I have read the website. I have understood this in terms of the social media. I understand you and you are a part who is coordinating this entire thing. How will you feel if I can help you with somebody who is really known for XYZ? Would you be interested to have someone who can bring that credibility to your desk and thereby talk the pain point? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool?
Yes.
Okay. Now the communication is open. Who are you talking about? Who the hell are you? Well, I can talk about myself, but let me understand. Is it something that can change the way probably right now people are looking at you? Even though you guys might be full, but don't you have a space for squeezing up to get into somebody who can actually churn this entire thing and talk about the deepest pain point of what startups and people who are working with startups are facing the hardest problems on earth. Is that going to be making sense to you guys? Okay, it opens up. Who are you talking about? But let me understand, if I talk about him, would you mind to have something in return for him? If I can introduce this gentleman who has that entire idea of the biggest pain point of all startups is how to start. And the second thing is, if they start, what is the sustenance level? How long they can sustain? And now, since you have been already working with me, you can talk about this like, okay, so I'm undergoing some sort of a mentorship right now. And here are 5 or 6 points that I understand that if you are not able to react at this point of time with the present industry, with the present informations, then you don't go anywhere. And there are very few people who have actually walked the talk. And if I'm able to introduce this gentleman, just let me know if it is something which is going to be benefiting for you. There might be many people who are already working with you, but there is somebody who knows the one point is how do you get business? Even though you have nothing, even though you have no idea about marketing, sales, operations, or admin, you have just started your organization and you're looking at the first rupee business. Is that thing going to change the way your organization is giving the ample opportunity for other startups? What do you feel? Make sense?
Yeah.
Now on the other side, once they ask about, okay, who is this gentleman? Okay. Now, rather than sending a kind of a keynote on what I am, how can I do all these things? What if we can say is, okay, fine. We're going to talk about this gentleman. And this is, as I said, like I'm right now undergoing my mentorship. Yeah. Okay. So this is something I have a limited knowledge about him. You know, if you say that, the game is lost. Because if you are my mentee and if you don't know what I am doing, then I'm lost. You are stammering there. So what we need to understand is, how do you understand each one of you? So the biggest thing is if you're working in a team and working in a credentials, and if you just imagine if in your team, your teammate doesn't know you, how will you feel? You'll feel good?
No, not at all.
Exactly. So the same thing applies here is you need to research, you need to study, you need to take all the points of information like what, how, when, all this information. And that needs you to dedicate yourself to understand the details about your inner self, details about your points, details about all the things that is happening right now within you. Okay. So yeah, there are multiple companies out there. What are the name of the companies? How they work, how they function, what are the team sizes, how much kind of clients we have, what kind of different industries we have worked in. So if you need to understand that, then you need to understand that there is a time that you need to devote to learn that. And just imagine this is all practical. If you don't know this, you cannot sell this. As simple as that. Closing does not mean that you ask only something which is how it is, where it is. No, you need some basic ideas. Every time you might not get a heated up candidate. You might not get a warmed up informations. Even though they are warmed up, and if they ask some technical jargons or probably some kind of a deeper questions, how will you answer them? You cannot always redirect. You cannot. Whatever the amount of high degree of closing attributes that you bring in along, there are certain areas where you need to answer. You need to answer those basic questions. It's basics. For that, a closer need to continuously keep on sharpening the axe, right? So I think the structure that you have got here is more about understanding, more about learning, more about devoting time, more about studying, more about observation, more about understanding the industries, more about impacting, more about understanding the pain points, and then you directly go and hit them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So once you have all the weapons, and if you don't know how to use the weapons, it's waste. It's complete waste of taking all the luggage of weapons there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you need to understand is you need to learn the weapons. You need to also understand which weapon to use when. Mm-hmm. Right. So here in this kind of condition right now, the complete thing is right now a mess, and there is already a kind of a disfigured about my name.
Yeah.
So to turn around that, you need to figure out what are the things you can do. The first thing is you need to study about me. You need to study my LinkedIn profile. You need to understand the kind of Facebook things that I have already done. Some sort of social credibility that you have already figured out about me. Read and write about me in point wise. Then use those informations in one very small bullet points and understand where exactly is the pain point. Find the pain point and just give a teaser. And your job is basically to set up an appointment. Your job is not to directly spot it. And the appointment is something where we are trying to fix it up, that if I can position it. Now, this is the objective, a very simple objective. Just imagine in some of the biggest deals, the first criteria is just to get an appointment, just to have a face-to-face meeting, just to have a stage, just to have a networking. If you are not able to get into that, how will you close? Things are beyond just the telephone. And this is the real-time proof that if there is a stranger, there is a trust that you can create. With that trust, you can create a friend. With a friend, you can create an amazing relationship by which you can do a business. There is no business without a friendship. And there is no friendship without a risk of trust. And there is no trust if you are not able to talk, not able to approach, not able to make himself aware of what you have to sell. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think let's keep it to this simple structure here. And people who are listening to this, if you have any kind of inputs that you want to share with us, the more information that you want here is something that is a deeper structure, which you can go probably 10 times, 20 times deeper. This is just one starting point. And this is a real-time thing. There is no nonsense, no bullshitting, no hiding behind the presentations. It is live with a blank page. And we are talking about a real-time situation. If you liked it, do share and let us know what best we can do. Thank you so much. My name is Amit Nath, and this is Team Uranium, Season 3. Okay, pause.
Some.